Hey everybody, I'm here to show you how to fix your Cameo 4 with the crash stopper issue. So if you have a machine that's doing something like this when it's coming on, you see you start it up, it's running over towards the center kind of slowly, and then it jumps over to the middle right there. That's probably a problem with your crash stopper. Cameo and Silouette have asked people to try resetting it various ways by sliding the carriage back and forth and 3 times and then hitting your power and resetting things, and that doesn't seem to work. So we did some troubleshooting on it. We got hold of Cameo, and they told us this particular issue is a problem with their crash stopper, and they asked us to send it back to them for a minimum charge of $125. Plus you had to pay for shipping, that they would repair it and send it back to you. So I did a little looking around on the internet, and I found a video on YouTube by a fellow by the name of Omar Valdez, who came across the problem with his unit and was able to fix it by taking a couple wires and touching them together and taking them apart and getting the unit to work. Well, I kind of did the same thing, went down and looked at it, and essentially I made a little bit more refined fix for it. So here's what I found. So if you take your unit apart, there's 2 screws on the inside. One of them is back right there, a Phillips head screw. Another one's right there, and then there's 2 more on the bottom. And then on the back side, you're going to have to remove this guide piece right here. So you've got a couple of tabs on each end. So push those down here on the other end, push that down, take that piece off the back. Okay. And then when you remove the screws on the bottom of it, this end piece, get my fingers out of the way, this end piece will slide right off. And you'll come into the inside here and you'll see the mechanism and see what happened. So if you look down here, right here, there's a little connector and there's a little horseshoe shaped kind of sensor, and it's kind of dark so it's a little hard to see. There's a little horseshoe shaped kind of sensor right there, and what happens when that carriage moves over to the left hand side, you'll see it come through, and right there it goes into that horseshoe on the sensor, and that's what determines that the carriage is back to its starting position and allows it to reset and go to the normal spot. So what I'm thinking is happening on this is an optical sensor. When the carriage is away from it and it's slid out like that, there's a signal that comes through that optical sensor, goes through this connector, out a couple wires over to the control board, and maintains and allows the system to work. When this comes back, gets in there, that circuit's going to open up, and when that opens up, that allows the carriage to move to its starting point. Okay. So what Mr. Valdez did was he found that his optical sensor was actually broken off. So he started messing around with the wires and was able to figure out what was going on. So if you take a look closely here on this connector, there's 4 wires on that. And by a little process of elimination, a little troubleshooting, I was able to determine that the wires that we need to take a look at are the wires all the way over here on the inside or on the right side of as you're looking at it, and the second wire from the left. So you got wire number 2 and wire number 4. Okay, those are the signal wires that determine that the carriage has been set back to its starting position, and allows it to again command the carriage to go to its start spot. So what Mr. Valdez was doing was he took those 2 wires that were there, held them together, and when he brought the carriage all the way over to the left-hand side, held them together, and when he let go of them, the carriage moved to the correct starting position. Well, I did kind of the same thing. So I took these 2 wires, wire number 2 and wire number 4, right here, and I cut them. And I took those down and routed them over here to a switch. Okay. Now this switch right here if you look at it kind of closely, you see it's got 3 terminals on it. If you look on the back side of it, those terminals are labeled C, NC, and NO. Okay, and the wires that you want to take those wires and connect them to the C and the NC position. And what that does is that's basically telling the sensor or telling the control board that the carriage is not in the center position or not in the starting position, and will cause that carriage to run back to the left-hand side. Once it gets to the left-hand side, that circuit has to open up, and that's what the push button switch is for. So when that carriage gets all the way over to the left-hand side, you'll hear it start chattering against the left-hand stop. If you push that button, it's doing the same thing as when that little sensor is interrupted down there, and that sets the carriage back to the normal position, or to the starting position. So essentially what you have to do again is, take that switch, wire it to the C and the NC positions. Okay, when the carriage gets all the way back over to the left, just hit the switch momentarily and it'll run back and it'll go to its normal starting position. Now these switches, I got these off of Amazon. They're relatively cheap. You can do this with a switch that has just 2 terminals on it, but if you do that, you have to make sure that the switch is an NC switch, or a normally closed switch. If you get a normally open switch, it's going to work a little bit backwards. So just to prevent your confusion, if you're going to use a what they call a single pole, single throw switch, you want to have one that's labeled as a normally closed switch. In other words, when you're not pressing on it, the switch is closed and allows the signal to go through it. These particular switches you can wire up either way. That's why I went ahead and got this right here. So basically what's going to happen now, I'm going to go ahead and set this carriage over here a little bit to the right. I'm going to turn the unit on. You're going to see that it's going to drive back to the left. When it gets to the stop position, it's going to start chattering because it's still trying to drive. And when I hit that switch, it's going to go back to the normal start position. So here we go with that. Hit the switch, went back to the start position, and from there it seems like it's working just fine. It doesn't seem to be any issue with it. So quick, easy fix. You need to have some soldering skills there a little bit, and a switch. And then what I did was, on the end panel, I just drilled a little hole there, and I'm going to put the switch on the side of it there, and it'll just just be a manual kind of a start switch for it. So that's a quick, easy fix for your Cameo 4, and it seems to work. Doesn't have any issues with it afterwards. If you have any questions, just let me know. I hope it works for you. Thanks.